Welcome back, everybody, to the PPL. So we're one set down, and we have a second Navi set, this time against NIP.
Moving a lot faster today than I thought we were going to. I did
Same.
not expect a 3-0 there, and let alone the way that 3-0 happened. Again, it felt very contested between the two teams, but that was a good handling from Fnatic, I would say.
I would love to know how Navi is feeling about the whole situation.
Yeah.
Were they feeling that they should change something in draft? Was it just their gameplay in general? Was it Fnatic being out of their mind? Either way, that's a match that we're so used to going to Game 5 and often that 4-3 scenario, but this time, very different pace.
And I think that's kind of going to fuel this set, right? This is the set where it's like, all right, so the team that you have kind of always had this rivalry with where it's like, okay, like you said, Game 5, maybe Game 7, maybe you're the ones winning this land, they're the ones winning the next land, vice versa, however it goes. You just lost 3-0 to them. How do you take that, internalize it, and then go into a new set? You have to keep on moving with it and kind of accept, okay, we played them twice this split, it hasn't gone our way so far, we just have to do well against everyone else.
And NIP, who has been kind of middle of the pack during the last split and then now seems to be facing some of the similarities, has shown some promise, though, especially by taking games off of top teams and such. And even though we don't have Digidog just yet, he comes in next week, but even with that, Simsaloo being able to play so effectively for the team, and I feel like overall they've been stepping it up.
Yeah, a lot of their players, and honestly, when it comes down to it, I don't know if you could really single one out, but I think Sheepa has been part of what gives them that little bit of a leg up, and like you said, having Simsaloo in there, and I want to say versatility that they didn't seem to have during the last split. That seemed to be kind of vacant coming from them. And being able to see, Lazy move to Navi and find success there, bringing in Simsaloo, and now they're the ones finding success, you're kind of, like, I personally at least, I'm curious as to how exactly they're feeling about their performance. Like, are they still solid third, or is this the time they can finally turn it around?
Lazy, it wasn't that long ago that he was on the NIP roster, so now facing against it and having to look at players like Sheepa, who he was playing with for so long, now as an opponent.
And honestly, there's so much, that this entire team does really well. Bird, I think, is the one, to me, like, he's the mastermind behind it, right? Sheepa, him, the rest of them, pretty much except maybe for Simsaloo, have been here forever. They are just veterans when it comes down to it. And you have two examples of veterans. You have Fnatic, who look phenomenal, and then you have NIP, who they were great. And then there was a period where it's like, man, these guys don't look the way they used to. Kind of that faded glory. And now they've really been able to kind of reestablish that.
Yeah, the players are still good. It's not like you watch them
no,
and
it's
you're
just
like,
it's that power creep, right? It's like you're the top, and now everyone rises to the same level, and then someone passes you, then you just have to keep competing.
So do you think that maybe having some new blood into the mix, whether it be Simsaloo, who's been playing recently, or Digidog coming in next time? Yeah, I can't say it any other way besides like just Digidog.
Nick says it all the time like that.
Yeah, it's the only way to say it. But nonetheless, maybe this is what they need to, when you have that new perspective come in, it changes the entire vibe of the team, really.
And that's actually something, and specifically with Simsaloo, that we've heard in the past. When we talked to Virtus Pro during the fall finals, they were mentioning the fact that, like Elven Path is relatively serious. He looks like a serious guy. And when you talk to him, like, he can be jovial, but you could tell, like, when game time is there, he's all in. He is focused. He's 100%. And Simsaloo was the one that kind of balanced everything out to keep everyone from getting too serious or too down on themselves. You lose a point, Simsaloo cracks a joke, everyone laughs, they're feeling relaxed again. And that's kind of, I think, the charm that he brings in. It's not just good play, but it's an atmosphere that allows the players to feel more confident. Yeah,
we're about to go into map number 1 of this best-of-5 set. And speaking of kind of zoning in, getting serious, there are a lot of players on Navi who teams actually get that way. When you see them at the LAN, when you see them just zoned into the competition, full focus.
I feel like Phoenix smiles every time except in game. Unless something good is happening. Like, they just win, then you're going to see a smile crack, but otherwise it's just...
The same guy with the focus face is the same guy that crawled across the edge around the computers. I love it, man. But it's all seriousness when you're facing the potential of attending the LAN. It's always top 2 teams, and especially when Fnatic is once again just so dominating that top spot, then it really becomes this battle of how will NIP potentially make their way into LAN once more.
There's a lot that can really change right here, and actually immediately going Buck Eevee is something NIP, and not honestly what I expected. Kind of curious as to whether or not Genos was going to be kind of accompanying the Buck, giving him that enhanced damage, because that shotgun is deadly. That shotgun is deadlier with a Luminary boost.
And then Buck's early prioritization has been something we've been seeing more and more recently, but having both flanks actually locked in early with the Buck and the Eevee, a lot of damage potential already locked down, and gives you an opportunity to try and pick out what strategy Navi are going for.
I mean, Maeve, Xin, and Nara, there's a lot of really like side pick off, a lot of side kill, tank kill ability as well. But Maeve, I think, actually might have not necessarily a rough time. I don't feel like she's going to get chased down all the time, but she's going to have trouble taking these boxing matches in her favor. Eevee can easily maneuver with her or against her either way, but kind of in that similar position, jumping in, jumping out, able to deal with the damage she outputs. And
Navi have been enjoying bringing Ruckus to the table as a secondary frontline, and that's actually going to be facing off against Terminus. But it's a Terminus combo without the Maldamba. In this case, they actually have Genos as their support.
I actually really like it just coming through. Again, you're not going to have, Swift Spirits coming through, but with Buck and Eevee, they're going to be hitting a lot harder. They're going to be able to jump in, shoot you dead faster is the best way to describe it.
I think teams typically like dead faster.
Yeah. He dead so quickly.
There we go. Yeah, that's what you always have to be saying, but I want to see who dead so quickly in this game, so let's send it over to the casters.
I appreciate you guys making Smite references for me, since I'm here. Aggro joined by Pretty Hair. Look, Maeve got through. This is the first time we've seen her so far today. Is that it? Draft over?
Not entirely. I think it's something that is very difficult to deal with, however, though. You look at that last matchup in the set, Fnatic and Navi, and there was like, yes, that Khan makes it through on Serpent Beach. That was the big power pick. And maybe indirectly it's going to have some impacts, but it all comes down, I think, to the performance. I think Maeve is a very performance-driven character, and if you're not good at it, you're not going to succeed with it. And that's why I'm okay with it being so strong, because she has some of the hardest in-hands in the game to actually connect with. And a lot of cooldowns to manage, that sort of thing. So it does come down to the performance. We'll have to see who's playing that for Navi. Typically, this is a Mewtwo pick, and it looks like it will be today as well.
Man, they do have a lot of damage on Navi here, don't they? Just between the Jhin and the Maeve in total. But on the other side, Bird with that Genos. Genos was so critical in that last set that we saw between Navi and Fnatic that maybe Ninjas and Pyjamas will be able to compete with that damage just because of that Luminary from Bird.
Yeah, they got to play with their matchups, though. Mewtwo is going to do very well against this Leon, assuming she doesn't have Enlightenment, which most of the time she won't. She's going to do very well against this Terminus. The Pounce goes straight through Power Siphon, nothing to do with there. Simsilo, however, very difficult to track down. Small character, hard to hit, even with those pounces sometimes. Ice blocks, things like that. Outplay potential is there for Simsilo.
Oh, Mewtwo's already in some trouble. He's going down for first blood. Navi not getting off to the start that they wanted, at least in the kill department, but they've still got a little bit of point control right now, spending a lot of time in this keep on the right-hand side, the Stone Keep, I imagine.
Definitely looking for control of this high ground. They've sent both their frontliners up here to do so, but Simsilo, he's just going to be poking and prodding and putting pressure, I think, showing presence near this support, near Spunky. There it is. The ice block blocks one of the pounces. However, Mewtwo is probably one of the mechanically quickest players in the realm, so he doesn't end up making it all the way out.
1 for 0 right now. Mewtwo the only one on the kill board. This little skirmish after the reset as Navi move out of the keep and onto the point, now nearing 50% on the objective. NIP seem to be playing this pretty slow here, Nick.
And that's the part of their composition, right? They have this Terminus, but it's a Genos backing him up. It's not a lot of throughput necessarily. They have to win this fight. Ideally, they're probably giving the heals to Buck, to Leon, to Eevee, and telling them to go kill. And then Terminus will stand on the objective. Really, there's no room. And we talked about the Maeve matchup against this Terminus. If Sheepa gets exposed on this Terminus, he's just going to get ripped apart, so it's understandable that NIP are playing this slow.
Well, I don't know how well it's worked out thus far. Perdot was the first one to fall, and now Navi get to break the base. That's a 99%. That's a cap for Nadas Vincere. They get the first point of the game. I've noticed that Mewtwo and Creatives have been exclusively on opposite sides. Mewtwo has been kind of hanging around that left side, the keep itself, whereas Creatives has been in this church on the right, splitting their DPS characters and making sure that they can each try and take their 1v1s a little bit more easily.
Yeah, and I think this has a little bit to, you're right, you're spot on there, I think, on principle, and it has to do, I think, just with the way the map is. There's less high ground, less things to jump up and get around on, so Xin, I think, operates a little bit better on this side of the map. Maeve, she can go up, down just with double jumps. She doesn't even need to blow a dash over on the 3-tier story side with the balcony and the actual gatehouse.
Already up above 50% on the capture push point, I should say. Sheepa doing what he can to stop that little advancement on the left side, but Phoenix on the right has to deal with this Eevee ultimate. Creatives will fall very quickly to it. Mudu gonna answer back onto Sheepa, but Simsalou gets a good job done there on the left.
Ice Storm, one of the best ultimates in the game to shut down Sin, cuts off 2 of his skills. Both Billow and Whirl cannot be used while crippled, and it's a persistent cripple, something very difficult for Xin to deal with. All you can do is throw up a counter and pray for the 4 seconds to go by quickly. And things in that 4-second territory, 5 seconds, doesn't sound like a lot, but like in a high, fast-paced video game, it is an actual eternity.
Yeah, that's free if you're sitting in the same place for 4 or 5 seconds against these players. It feels like you're in trouble if you stay in the same place for half a second sometimes. Sheepa goes down, has that ultimate available if he chooses to use it, but Phoenix gonna bring down Simsalou as well. Perdo slayed very easily by Mudu, and it looks like NIP are gonna lose this first capture point, and Navi pushes it successfully.
This is tough, man. This front line from Not a Sincere, especially early game. I mean, you're looking at 2-0 for Phoenix and Lazy, 4-0, completely unfettered on the front line. They've got Spunky absolutely pumping healing into both of these characters. Lazy on Inara, one of the best characters at absorbing it. Phoenix, so good at looking after himself and so good in like those little 1v1s. That's why I think you see him float near Spunky at all times, just to ward people away from him. And there's no one easy to pick on Navi, right? Xin is almost, unless you're aware of his cooldowns, hyper aware of where all those are at. It's so tough to dive him. Mutu, the same thing. There's so much mobility unless you're absolutely sure that all of her cooldowns are down.
It's impressive that you noted it there. The 2 backline divers, the flankers, if you will, the Maeve and the Jhin are the only 2 with deaths for Navi. The core 3 that are going to be on the point went undefeated in that last round. Ninjas and Pyjamas certainly need to do a better job of bringing them down, but here comes Midnight coming out of Mudu as he's going to try to chase down that Eevee. Decides to let it go, but look at how much space that created for Navi, already up to 25%.
Just the threat of it is so much that NIP have to give it up. They have Leon, they have that inbuilt Cauterize, but other than that, it's just Perdo with a Cauterize 1. So healing is still a massive problem for Ninjas and Pyjamas. They can't bring these frontliners down fast enough.
Ice Storm doesn't do a whole lot on that left side, it sounded like in the actual keep. Lazy will fall to Perdo. Bonker finds creatives, but Mudu and Lazy combine to bring down 2 of their own, 2 for 2 thus far. Terminus does come back though, so one of those negated. Perdo nice and healthy here for the moment, but immediately forced back.
Yeah, it's going to buy some space there. No kills for Phoenix, but he's got great positioning here. Pops his emitter as well. Simsalou putting some pressure on. That's Ruckus, man. He took no HP damage for that whole exchange.
That's the good stuff right there. Navi lost point control for a little bit, and NIP got up to 62%, but immediately now, Not a Sincere back up above 80% with that control, and Mudu is hunting on this left-hand side. It looks like NIP has relegated themselves to the church this time around. They don't want to mess with the keep, which is where Navi's been the majority of that first capture point, but it hasn't worked out too well for them as Creative finds Sheepa. That shot from Leon, not quite good enough, but Perdo did find Maeve on the back.
And that's hopefully going to be enough for them. NIP find a second pick, 93% comeback mechanic. Creatives doesn't have time to actually get down. The net shot slow ended up being enough. I'm not sure even with full gravity if he would have been able to fall fast enough to stall that out. Bonker picks them both up, and that'll be the cap for NIP. They'll get their turn at an offense.
That comeback mechanic working wonders there for NIP in that spot. Felt like they weren't on the point for very long, but long enough they were. So now it's their turn to try and push the payload into Navi's base as Bonker trying to put some pot shots into the opposition, but here comes Inara trying to chase her down and does just that. Phoenix combines as well. The 2 frontliners doing a little bit of damage on themselves.
This is just going to be an unfortunate stagger. Can I get a yeet?
Goodbye,
that was a sad yeet.
That was, yeah.
Can we look at the damage charts here? I want to see where Perdo's buck is sitting. He's got the Luminary, right? You have to kind of hold that bar there that Bittner, I think, set in his set. Near the top, not quite at it. I think all the damage dealers doing a good job of NIP. But frankly, with this lineup, with the lack of Cauterize they had early, you almost have to expect Navi to abuse the front line early on. It's about survival for NIP. If they can get to that hyper late game, I think they'll stand a much better chance just because the mitigation won't be there anymore.
Well, they've already done a little bit better. This time around, they actually are the ones who captured the payload, but their push has stalled only just over a minute left as there's still over 60% of the way to go as Creatives has that ultimate. Navi has quite a few ultimates in their pockets. Ninja Pyjamas have some of their own as Perdo finds Phoenix and Mudu will knock down some Silu. So now it's stalled out a little bit. 50 seconds left as NIP still working it towards the halfway point.
Yeah, and we're looking at that hurry up and wait stage, and you asked if it was tough to convert on this map, and again, it comes down a lot to composition. There is a lot, I think, for NIP to work with. Leon can chip people down. Simsalo can then get into the back line. There's always the big yeet. Look at this kill feed just filling up 3 for 3 in total. But that's going to be in favor of the defense just because they're reinforcing this fight way quicker.
Navi only has 2 members up, but they do have their ultimates available, both for Jhin and Inara. May need to use one here if the respawns don't come through in time. In fact, Navi is fully stacked in the ultimate department, whereas NIP's Leon the only one without one on their side. 10 seconds to go now as we're reaching this underpass. Sheepa trying to push that payload in, but Lazy not making it easy. On the right-hand side, looks like Eevee's dueling it out with a couple of those flankers for Navi. We go into overtime now.
This is perfect for Lazy. If he can keep the payload here, it's ideal, right? He can break line of sight from everyone through the main choke point there, but still contest the payload and keep it from moving any further forward. Mutu running out of HP, but that's what this build does. When she's below 40% HP, she gets incredibly tanky thanks to a loadout card. Ends up falling anyway. Walker in this 1v1, they're going to trade out thanks to Spunky.
Spunky with the clutch kill there. Simsilu going to go in, trying to make something happen, but the blink back means he gets a little bit more safety, but not quite enough. Another member falls for Ninjas and Pyjamas, but Bird is still here and healthy, has that through time and space available. Yeah. I spoke too soon. Caster's Curse doesn't only work at Smite, apparently. Navi able to secure the defense, and now up 3-1.
Yeah, you're seeing that fight pretty non-committal from both sides. You don't love to spend your ultimate there and then go into the next round potentially still down. You're basically gambling it all to tie up the game when you could just keep a comeback mechanic in play. If you're NIP, hopefully give yourself more wiggle room on the objective and bring this one to a 3-2, I think, in the ideal form. Here's a look at Sheepa's loadout. This has been kind of the more popular style, especially around Necromantic Might and those Forsaken cards, those crowd control reduction cards. Prevents you from having to buy Resilience, which was just increased in cost to 300, 600, and 900 a tier. So this is just basically saving you money. And then, of course, people loving that Calamity Blast Legendary. That makes it a little bit easier to charge with Necromantic Might.
That additional healing that it receives below 50% as well. Bird does catch the Maeve on that rotation. He tried it the last round, didn't work out. Goes for it again. I doubt Navi thought that was going to actually happen. Usually when it fails the first time, you won't see players go for something like that again, but it pays off for Bird.
This is a lot of free capture. Here comes the big yeet from Inara. She doesn't manage to stun much. Sheepa's right in her face, has reanimate, and he's not going to hesitate.
Sheepa immediately right back onto the battlefield. Creatives has to get back towards his team, and he cannot brought down by Perdo, and now it's only Maeve here alongside Spunky. Midnight used, but it's not going to get a whole lot of value here. Mutu realizes his mistake very, very quickly, and NIP just to dominate this point.
I mean, a great start for them with Bird getting the free pick. They get free map control, use it well, have comeback mechanic in their favor. You can't mess that up. If you fail to win there, you have no business winning that set. NIP, I think they do have some business. I think they do stand a chance here against Not As Sincere today.
Clearly it looks that way as Creative's trying to bring down Bonker, but Bonker's able to create some distance between herself and the Jhin. Big damage though, and just able to skirt out there towards the keep. Is this push already looking much better for NIP?
Man, they're coming for him though. They're really diving Bonker. He manages to go 1-for-1 in that exchange, which is great for NIP. Now if they can just do-si-do around here, keep this payload moving. Sheepa doing a great job holding down his objective. Look at how healthy he has remained this whole time.
Mutu just has not been quite as effective as he was in rounds 1 and 2 here on this third capture point opportunity, and Simsilu now on this left-hand side trying to create a little bit of damage, a little bit of space for his team to start pushing up. But look at the positioning of Navi. They're taking the high ground now, trying to keep NIP out from that underpass, but Bonker going to join up with the Eevee on this left-hand side and force back that Jhin.
A lot of momentum for NIP at the moment here. They're going to try and keep this going. A lot of low frontliners as well. That mitigation maybe not quite doing what it was in times past. It's a phenomenal wall from Lazy, providing peel and frankly stabilizing that fight.
Lazy, the former NIP member, now doing it against his former team. And Ninjas and Pyjamas have stalled out a little bit. Navi able to stabilize on that underpass, which seems to be the critical point for a lot of these pushes. Lots of ultimates on both sides yet again, and it was pretty non-committal last time around. Do you feel like NIP is going to be more willing to use their ultimates on this push?
No, because even if they do, right, they spend everything they've got. They get it done. It's just a 3-3. Navi going to the next point. Dead even, no comeback mechanic in play, and massive ultimate advantage. Win the game 4-3. So you don't want to put yourself too far out.
Makes sense. Creative's pretty low here. Simsilu doing a good job harassing him as Samudu waiting for the return, but it never came. Eevee still very, very low, though, trying to create something for NIP as Phoenix doing a nice job of zoning away any help that Eevee could potentially get.
13 seconds on the clock here. Swings still coming through from Creatives. It's not an easy 1v1 to win, especially when you're not getting healed. Maldaba needs line of sight. He doesn't have it right now. He throws a gourd, but that's 260 HPS. It's not enough to survive.
Ooh.
Pounce runs into the ice block there. Outplay potential we talked about. It's a small window, but Simsilo finds it.
Now on the backside, Perdo's very low. Phoenix trying to chase him down, but he gets picked up by Genos and potentially brought down. Indeed he does, but Creatives found Eevee at the same time. Maeve knocks down Sheepa and the bird on Genos. And that does it for Navi's defense. Successful once again.
That's falls apart there, right there at the end of the tracks. Mutu not with a lot of damage done this game, but a lot of killing blows, and I feel like that's just kind of a good summary of this build for Maeve. She gets in, completely eviscerates you, and then gets out.
That 30% damage reduction for 3 seconds after using Pounce, especially when you're trying to use Pounce offensively, makes you a lot tankier and really lends itself to staying alive. 8 deaths still for Mutu, but this is kind of, even with that and the mobility that Maeve has, she's a pretty all-in character.
Got a lot of tough matchups there, and kind of the perfect flow to her kit. She can prowl in, hit the autos, pounce, reset, hit the pounce again to hopefully finish the kill, and then you have a prowl to get back out. All that damage reduction. It ends up being around 50%, so, you know, tanky as Inara's would be when they pop their Earthen Guard with a Mother's Grace supplementing that. A very, very hard to bring down character.
Bird fired off the ultimate again, but it was in a completely different spot. Didn't find a home that time. Midnight gets popped, and Creatives takes advantage in the darkest of nights. Finds Perdo, knocks him back, and the map control that NIP had in that last round now belongs to Navi as they're immediately up 42% to 24.
NIP taking their time. They have the half comeback mechanic in this round, meaning every other tick is worth 4%, so not quite as fast, but every little bit is going to help them. Sheepa's still pretty healthy, trying to work his way to the objective. It's getting close to crunch time here, aggro, as Navi passed 69%.
NIP has a lot of ultimates available, though. Terminus can kind of just go suicide on that if necessary.
Oh, no.
Didn't work out so far. Creatives knocks down Perdo, but Bonker did get one. Creatives notches himself a double kill. Sheepa answers back as he immediately falls, but again, has that reanimation, and there he goes, right back onto the point.
I like it. The reanimate gives a little bit of a safety zone there for Simsilo to come out of ice block, stay alive. Bird trying to give everyone the runaround. Ice Storm connects just barely. Is it enough to burn Phoenix down? It is. Simsilo will get the kill. Body blocks a pounce for Bird. Bird stays alive.
Perfect play there from NIP, and they're getting really close to capturing this point. Lazy trying to get his butt on there, but just can't quite do it quite yet. Overtime now activated as Navi is starting to wrest control away. Sheepa does knock down Lazy, and that's going to be enough. We're knotted 3 apiece.
That's crazy there. Simsilo, I was getting worried there for NIP. You could see he got a little out of rhythm. Eevee is a very rhythmic character. If you're missing blanks, you're running into stuff with your Soar, it's going to throw you off. The spite lands for Creatives. He stays alive. That ult, it's kind of inconsequential at this point. He'll get it charged back up at before the end of the round, and if you're not running Guillotine, which is the talent to supplement your ult, then it's not really a very powerful tool in your kit anyway, so he just does it to bail himself out.
A little bit difficult to use, especially in the 5-on-5 groupings as well, so it makes sense to use it there in the 1-on-1 scenario. NIP's captured 3 points now, but has been unsuccessful in pushing any of them home. That round 1 completed push for Navi looking bigger and bigger with each passing round as Creatives into the backside looking for Perdo. Can't quite find him.
Ooh.
Counter wasn't good enough, but Billow certainly was. And he will escape for the moment as Mutu is just looking for some sort of target. But it looks like NIP is pretty spread here.
Yeah, pretty clean sweep. Couple of guys respawning as well, which isn't the worst thing to have happen to them. When you capture payload, you get 300 team-wide credits. Kind of like a gold free, but that lead isn't cemented until you go home and spend it, right?
Right.
So they'll get some itemization. So let's take a quick look at what NIP have picked up as we head into what is pretty much the hyper late game. Coming up on 18 minutes here. Cauterize 3 online for Perdo. Bonker, like we mentioned, the Leon talent gives him that, so that's why he's gone into Wrecker. Simsalo has gone into a late cauterize just to help out a little bit. But as you can see, a lot of Rejuvenate off the board. It's a very cheap item that has quickly gained in popularity.
Give a lot of that additional healing as well from Bird. On top of that, as Ice Storm gets dropped, Mudu in some trouble, but no real follow-up here. He's able to escape fairly easily. And now he's coming around the back, and he sees some low health targets eager to feast on this back line. Perdo in some trouble, has to leap away and gets a big heal off and then turns it around very nicely. 2 for 0. Now 3 actually dead for Navi, as NIP trying to get past that underpass. That's a tough part to break.
Freaking Buck. They've got some momentum right now, and the payload is going to just barely squeak through. NIP don't have a ton of ultimates to work with to do so. They use the Ice Storm, the time and space, to guarantee themselves one more kill. Bulldozer's going to help Sheepa get through that Warder's field. He's got his ultimate with 1 pick already going the way of Navi. Aggro, I don't see NIP hitting the gas.
No, NIP pretty low on the members they have anyways. Wasn't worth sticking around. So Navi 3 for 3 on the defense, but they have lost the last 3 capture points. What do they need to do differently to turn this last one around?
I think obviously you got to look out for that ultimate from Bird, but the fact that he used it so close to the end of last round means he doesn't have it. We know that for sure. Navi probably estimate that it's not going to be up. That would have been a damn quick capture. He doesn't have morale boost. He doesn't have anything like that to work with. I think what they need to do, though, use these ultimates to maybe get some more kills here. Right now, Midnight's just been used for zoning, right? It's like NIP scurry away every single time to pretty much the same spot, and that's been enough for Navi. I think if they use the fact that NIP kind of corral themselves in the same spot, that could be a very abusable thing for them to lead up with a Dread Serpent or a Seismic Crash or some CC.
Right, and maybe a Hexifier as well would be pretty potent in that spot. Again, Navi prioritized the Stone Keep, and Simsulu again just going to put some pot shots into the front liners and continue to make it happen on that left-hand side, whereas Perdo has really relegated himself to this church area. It's been kind of him and Creatives dueling it out so far to get dominance over here, as Phoenix and Inara are in different spots again. So it feels like Navi is putting 1 of each in each spot. Silu, Dread Serpent wasn't good enough. Phoenix couldn't find the last shots, and Eevee's going to survive. That's a huge teamfight ult now down for Navi.
But Creatives, he skirts his way to the backline. He picks up Bird. Sheepa's running out of juice and HP quickly, but they turn it around with 1 Calamity Blast. His final breath takes down Phoenix.
Man, Creatives nearly found the kill there onto Bonker, and nearly will, but Bonker actually finds one onto Mudu instead. Creatives trying to play a little bit slower now, has that Billow available, and counter will be up as soon as he gets out of this, but Navi already in overtime. 99%, Bird sliced and diced and cut down by Creatives. A killing spree now for the man on the Jhin, as overtime ticking down, very, very close now. Refreshed by the Eevee, but still will not be enough. Navi get the round 1 victory and the last round victory, and that's all that counts.
Yep, everything between that was a defense. A lot of credit to Creatives, though. He gets that slippery pick onto Bird, as well as he puts both Perdo and Bonker, Leon and Buck in a bad spot late in the round, but doesn't get over-aggressive there. He uses his Billow to distract 3, put them all in an awkward spot, making NIP make a lot of choices. It's not an easy choice to turn your back on a Zen and focus on the objective.
Well, it ends up working out pretty well there for Navi. They got 3-0'd by Fnatic, but immediately bounced back here against Ninjas in Pyjamas. I'll sort over the desk so they can tell you why.
Well, quite the lengthy game that was, for sure. And even though it was a lot of back and forth and clearly the 4-3, I think Creatives did have a heavy role in that success.
He was a lot, I want to say, of kind of bringing everybody back into it. It felt like one of the best examples I think I have is there was a point where Nick was mentioning that Eevee's very rhythmic, and Simsulu, every now and then you could feel he was like offbeat with it. He wasn't quite where he wanted to be. That's how Navi's fights felt for me. And a lot of the time I feel like it was Creatives kind of grabbing that and bringing everyone right back into it, being like, here's where like the next measure starts. This is where we have to restart the song, the chorus, whatever, just to make sure everything starts moving the way it was again. Because there would be times where it's like, man, Navi did not look like themselves in some of it. Some of the fights were kind of like ghosts, and admittedly, a lot of it was just because NIP were playing it well.
Yeah, at the tail end, Creatives and Lazy both had the streaks going for them, and Team Collective, but with NIP, what they have been showing in each of these games and each of these matches that they've went through, and the fact that they can push it that hard, do you think that they can maybe bring it to the next level in the second game so that they can, instead of getting just that last point right through the grip their fingers, go ahead and try and bring it in their favor?
I honestly think a lot of their control on the game actually is kind of falling away from them. I think they are doing everything they can. They are playing lights out. They're doing phenomenally. And again, it kind of makes me curious because, you know, you look at them and you're kind of wondering, I'm personally curious about any tension knowing that SimSalu's not going to be there maybe. Like, not necessarily like not performing at the same level, but knowing this is like my last shot to really like shine out before someone else takes my place. But going into it, it feels more like Navi have to make the mistakes for them to capitalize on. Like, it's one of those things, you take it 3-3, you just have to hope Navi make some small error that you can capitalize on.
Well, let's go ahead and find out where we're heading to for our second match, or map of the match, rather, as it is going to be Frozen Guard, so a nice cold place for these. And what are some picks that we don't normally see that you think might actually be busted out here for Frozen Guard?
Snipers used to be in this area a lot. With the scope changes, they're still viable, but I don't think they're going to be anywhere near as likely. Ashe, I think, is the front line to start looking at. This is something that on this map specifically, she's been pulled out as that off-tank, right? She's like, okay, well, we can't have Khan, but we still want someone else. Maybe you want to run the Ruckus since Navi and Fnatic both seem to be kind of pulling that one back out. But I feel like Ashe is in that area of usefulness, especially with the range added on Slugshot.
Yeah, and right now taking a couple frontliners away, as well as Shaolin and Maeve. So Navi, since they don't want to pick those up early, figure let's not risk giving them to the enemy team. This does leave Cassie for them as their early prioritization, and NIP is sticking with that Buck as first pick.
And so far, everything, I think, really fits the map well. I like Buck and Inara on this one. I love Cassie on this map. Eevee is another good one. Maeve, obviously, I think is a big pickup. If she wasn't banned, you would love to have her. But it's just that area where certain flanks, I think, can excel on this map a little bit more than you'll see. Like Zen, I want to say is kind of hit or miss in comparison to some of the others.
And with Leon and Eevee, those were both on the side of NIP during game number 1. Now coming in through for Navi. So Cassie, Eevee, Leon, they've got their damage locked in. Now it's leaving the rest of it open. I think they're kind of comfortable with whatever they might plug into those scenarios, no matter what NIP ends up bringing to the table. So it's actually going to be the Barrack here.
And I'm assuming it's going to be Moldamba for the last pick just to come in and have the healer. So you're looking at the three women on the team to do as much damage as possible. Barrack needs a little bit of space created by those three to make sure that he can kind of come in and set up. Especially against an Inara, you have to displace her early on to make sure he can actually have kind of any presence on the point.
And I do like seeing the cactus head that Spunky's been rocking for the Moldamba during the past few. So with Genos and Inara, NIP, it leaves them a bit of an option for their last pick, and it looks like they might actually bring the sniper to the table, which could help not just in securing, but nope, they switch it out for the Ying. That's a very big swing in the opposite direction.
I was actually on board. I was thinking of all the reasons Strix would be good in this composition. And I guess some of them kind of overlap with Ying, but there's been a reason we haven't seen Ying in a long time. There's a reason that when she does come out, it's always kind of iffy. We got to see her this morning during SEA for the Global Series, so I guess there is some potency to where she can play, but I'm really just curious as to how this is going to perform.
Well, I want to see some Ying action, so let's find out what happens in game number 2.
Now, I don't cast a lot of Paladins these days, and in fact, I never cast Paladins these days, but I think I've been around enough to know that we don't see Ying a lot these days.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember because I can't remember if it was even a PPL team. If it was in North America, but I've seen Ying once this year. She received recently some big buffs, but it still wasn't enough. I think just the nature of that character is supposed to be very automatic, very easy, and I think for that reason can't be tuned very highly to where the other supports are. And I think that's okay. That's probably I think she's just kind of like a beginner healer that has some very skillful elements to her kit. But overall, what does she provide? She provides good spot healing on the point, I think, so to allow this Genos to worry about the flanks and giving bonus damage to the people that are going to more easily leverage it. She's got an incredible ultimate that charges extremely fast. She's a very OG character in the game. Bird is a guy that's been playing since the very beginning, so he's very clearly got something up his sleeve.
It's interesting to see. I'm anxious to see how it's going to work out for Bird in this spot. Gets morale boost to make sure that he can get that ultimate up even faster each of these fights. Shiba is on the Inara, who, of course, receives better healing than most other characters, than every other character, really. And so the double healer means that she will be nice and safe most of the time. Though has to worry about where Phoenix is right now, getting some great shots. This angle for Phoenix is phenomenal, but still NIP's willing to stand and fight on this point, especially with their double healers. Before the big cauterized 2s and 3s come out, it's going to make it a lot harder to stop NIP.
Just the one frontliner for Navi as well, so focusing Lenzine can sit in the backline here, and with a really good range increase on Frozen Guard, it makes her easily leveraged. He can sit here and just beam this Barrack. Anytime he's available on the objective, he's going to be taking significant DPS from Ying.
Phoenix has been under 0 pressure thus far, but NIP hasn't been worried about it because they already have 60+% on the capture point. Now they'll back up a little bit and try and get some leverage on that right-hand side. Phoenix continues to put shots into Inara, and that'll be enough because Creatives will finish it off. First blood for Navi, and that might open up the water gates here. Even though NIP's controlled this point so far, that Inara is so critical to how they're able to do that.
You can see the second she goes down, Navi start to move in. Lazy's getting turrets deeper into the objective. Phoenix, for the most part, maintaining his same positioning, but Creatives now not afraid to blink deeper into the enemy backline, soar up onto this plateau, and get a little bit more involved.
No Xin or anything like that this time. It might be a little bit harder to close the gap on these damage dealers that are hanging out on the far side of this capture point as Navi answers back with 80+% of their own, but once Inara returns, immediately back to the point they go. Simsulu grabs one, but Lazy will knock down Sheepa, and that could stop NIP from getting this point very easily. But it looks like they've gotten a little bit more control this time around. King Bomb coming through from the Bomb King himself, and that'll get the kill onto Phoenix very easily, but Lazy will answer back right away.
There it is. Gonna roll in, hits the Ying ultimate. The first round of ultimates come up. It's not enough healing to save Bonker, though. The Buck Wild is flipped. The shotgun is going to hit, but it's Navi that are hitting harder.
Sheepa's here, but he's gonna have a tough time potentially. Nearly to that ultimate. This wall buying some time. Overtime, no. Sheepa couldn't get on the other side, it felt like, and Navi get the first capture point.
My goodness. Just about every ultimate used there in the composition, as well as only Genos and Inara are left after all 10 is said and done. Incredible stuff from both sides there. And I'm frankly surprised there's more healing on the side of NIP in combination with the fact that they just have Inara. She's such a better point front line than Barrack is. But Navi's still able to eke that one out, and that's scary, because headed into the late game, I don't think Navi's composition is getting any worse. I think NIP's is falling off harder.
You need to win these early fights and early point control battles when you have that double healer, especially with the Leon for Phoenix, right? That innate anti-heal as part of her kit makes it even harder, right?
You know, that could be a big part of it. Let's look at the damage charts, because, you know, when we watched this fight through Phoenix's eyes, he was kind of left unchecked for the most part.
Yep.
And he's just chipping away at the backline. It's not the top damage, but I think that's just because he's sitting very far away and literally just worried about applying anti-heal, whereas Cassie Bomb King, they're chunking frontliners. They're sitting like close mid-range, just absolutely teeing off on Inaras and Barracks.
Lazy already poked down to about half HP, but good shots onto the Bomb King will force him back into the base. Still over a minute left, and Navi getting a great push here right underneath the bridge almost already, as Mudu forced to roll back a little bit. Navi getting closer to their ultimates, with the first blood of this engagement will go to Simsilu as he brings down Creatives, and immediately Navi start their retreat.
58 seconds on the clock. Tails between their legs. Simsilo picks up yet another one to send the message even further into that mine, driving the point home. Lazy trying to use the self-sustained. Spunky's here as well. They turn it around onto Peridot, breathing new life into this offense.
Oh, this is a good spot now for Navi, because Inara pushed a little bit too far forward. Wall will buy her a moment, but might not be enough. Through time and space doesn't connect, as Inara still juking around. Shouts to double healers. Finally, Sheepa falls to the damage from Phoenix, but it took Lazy's life in order to convert on that. Phoenix will find himself a double kill until Bonker shuts him down. Peridot knocked down right after Buck Wild, it sounded like, went off. A double kill for Mudu. Make that a triple, and Navi capture the first point and push it home.
Beautiful stuff. Beautiful counter aggression there from Navi. Lazy having the presence of mind to recognize, hey, I think this guy's overstepped his boundaries a little bit. Spunky's right here. I'm a great 1v1 champion in close quarters. Let's do this thing. And then that ping train just didn't stop rolling. He walked that all the way home. He ended up dying for it, but he was definitely the spark that lit the fire there in that offense.
Misheard a little bit there. Peridot's ultimate still is available, so NIP still in an okay spot, but it didn't really cost Navi that many resources. An ultimate for Leon, but Phoenix is going to be able to notch that up pretty quickly. Spunky losing his ultimate is a big deal, but he's already at 22%.
Yeah, that is definitely the biggest deal here. NIP, it's not all doom and gloom. They do score enough credits to get Cauterized 2s online, but just by a margin of about 100 credits or so. So they're where they need to be to win this fight. You know, items are not going to be completely deciding this one here. Lazy barely makes it out. And that just shows that the Cauterize is having that effect.
Working so far. Simsilu falls. And Spunky on a 12 streak now as Evie on a 5 streak of her own. And Navi gained control of the point once more. NIP seem to be winning the 5-on-5s, but as soon as they lose one member, even in 4v4s, it doesn't seem to have nearly as much effect.
That's just how incredible a support Spunky is at this point. He doesn't have his Dread Serpent, so he has to do it the old-fashioned way by yeeting some stuns from the snake reload into the faces of the enemy team there. That stun guarantees that first blood in this round, and now Simslo, he was the first blood of this round, and he's caught on an island. No one around him by a mile from his team, and it makes it an easy breezy cap for Navi.
Yeah, didn't even break a sweat in that one. Navi looking to be firing on all cylinders right now. Is that ultimate, that Dread Serpent coming up pretty soon now for Spunky on the Maldamba.
NIP don't even really get a chance to use a lot of resources there. They use their Illusory Rift from Ying. They use the Buck Wild, but Inara Seismic Crash and King Bomb still available. Maybe that's what Simslo was trying to do, trying to get in there and salvage that fight with a King Bomb, but Mutu says no more of that, sir.
Mutu on this Cassie having a great effect, a triple kill yet again. That's his second triple of the game as Phoenix completes the team wipe. NIP get a moment to talk about what they got to do on this defense because they were all on the respawn timer and Navi continues to push up. Now Navi doesn't have any ultimates now, but nearly there on the Cassie and the Eevee ults.
This is just really incredible, to be honest, from Navi. I don't even, there's not a ton of synergy, in my opinion, in this Navi comp. It's just like they're all playing individually well together and making some incredibly hot plays, like the stun from Spunky, abusing a lot of the mistakes I feel Ninjas of Pyjamas are making, just revolving around positioning.
Well, King Bomb's got to come out pretty soon here alongside Seismic Crash if NIP want to make this defense happen. Phoenix walled off, but is able to get through there somehow. Maybe slipped through. Yeah, exactly. The diet working out for Leon, it seems like. Sheepa and Bonker will claim a kill apiece as NIP will force Navi back for the moment. But there's still 50+ seconds on this clock, Nick. Plenty of time for Navi to reset and get back, even on Ice Mines, the big map, right?
And if you've even got the the better mid-range composition from Navi with the Leon, with the Eevee able to close the gap. Once like a couple little pop shots are going to come out, yes, then NIP are going to go get under cover. But you've got the perfect character. You've got Eevee to blink up over the wall to finish some of those picks. And we've seen how important those picks can be when it comes to breaking these final choke points. Breaking the enemy base has to come with a kill.
Well, it's going to be difficult now for Navi. A certainly uphill battle because NIP has every ultimate available, whereas Navi sitting on a big old goose egg in the ultimate department. Nearly there on Dread Serpent, though, and that if you need one ultimate, that's probably the one if they want to push this point home and end it 4-0. NIP going to use that Ying and Seismic Crash ultimates, but only one goes down in Lazy. Overtime could be coming, and there it goes. As in the back, Mutu will fall very quickly, and NIP look likely to defend.
But Aggro, I think you're okay with this if you're Navi, right? They spend arguably two of their most important ultimates there just to stay alive, but that's sort of the fruit that you bear when you're that far ahead if you're Navi. They have to do that to stay in the game. They don't want to risk losing this second one, going down 2-0 here. So now Navi, they don't have a lot of ultimates to work with, but the ultimate advantage for NIP has now drastically been reduced.
Spunky did utilize that Dread Serpent, again at 22%. That seems to be his magic number for sitting on that ultimate in between rounds, but he got it pretty quickly last time around, and he was the catalyst that got it started for Navi around that point.
Right.
Do NIP to try and dive Spunky here? Is that the game plan?
I don't know, because look at these ult charges. Obviously, NIP don't know this, but 97, 98, 98 for Enlightenment, Ice Storm, and Dome Shield. Those are big, heavy hitters. that are going to be up, right? The passive charge is going to get Creatives and Phoenix there right as they get to the objective. Lazy, I think the same can be said for him at this point. And there you go. 3 ultimates out of the woodwork for Navi.
But NIP have 3 of their own. Sheepa brings down Lazy very quickly. That almost happened last time. Lazy was able to escape. Not this time around. Navi loses their only frontliner right off the bat. Genos got pretty low through time and space, doesn't find a home as Phoenix has set up shop once more on that far left side, but NIP's doing a much better job paying way more attention to him this time. It's proving fruitful. Creatives yanked out of that soar, but it's not going to matter. Instead, the focus is elsewhere to Phoenix and Spunky. They fall quickly. And Nick, I thought it was supposed to be the other way around. NIP's composition was supposed to be the early game one. In the late game now, as we're getting closer, doesn't seem to phase them too much. They get a pretty easy cap here.
It's that early pick on the Lazy. I didn't see it for sure, but I have to imagine, right? That Void Grip was hit for a full duration. See, normally, Lazy would just rocket boots out of that. I have to imagine it was on cooldown. He must have already used it for the Bowling Ball shield, which is just basically a loadout card that gives you a shield once you proc that ability. And so he was forced to eat the full duration there. He gets punished for it. Phoenix, maybe a little too comfortable on his roost, sort of still just stayed very, very far exposed. He gets capitalized on, and then from that point on, NIP get to use all of their ultimates to just hang on to the lead that they've built.
Ooh, Creatives gets a quick double, though. Bird and Bonker, both Bs, both dead right now. Mudu will bring down the Bomb King, and it looks like a clean wipe nearly for Navi on the defense. This will buy some time on this defense. Trying to stagger the kill onto Inara as long as possible. Sheepa being dangled out there. Spunky finally, mercifully, puts an end to the Inara.
I don't know, man. That's got to feel bad. I would have popped my ultimate charge, I think, to full. Hit a couple of bursts there. Show them you mean business, getting staggered out. It's part of the game, though. Something you got to be able to deal with when you're playing a front line who's just not that lethal. Your job is to sit in a space better than anyone else can sit in that space, and that's what Inara does.
Inara does that pretty well, though. You could be worse. You could be really good at worse things than that. You could be really good at, like, I don't know, cup stacking or something like that. Like, where does that really get you?
Whoa, man.
By the way, I'm really good at cup stacking. That's how I know it's not that useful.
That's why I'm allowed to make fun of those
exactly.
people.
It's my own people. Mudu and Phoenix able to get a kill apiece, but immediately Perdo falls to Lazy as well. Navi again with a solid defense. Ninjas and Pyjamas forced back.
Have you ever been in one of those like competitive speed stacking tournaments?
No, I haven't, but we were really into it in high school. Like between classes and that kind of stuff, or, you know, when I was totally going to all my classes and doing all my homework, after I did all the responsible stuff, wink, wink, I was definitely cup stacking.
Did you have to buy like a kit of like special cups to do it?
Well, joke's on my mom, because she like bought that for me kind of as a joke, like, haha,
and you just popped off with it?
And I was like, I'll bet you I'm sick. Turns out I was definitely the best of my friends group. No one can touch me there. We got to get an office cup stacking set up. I'll take everyone to school. It's Navi trying to keep this defense going in their favor, but Bomb King gets 1 kill. Phoenix doesn't let that last long. Shouts to Enlightenment, already back up to 60% after that 50% reset on that ultimate. Overtime is forced here, but Phoenix comes around the back and just gets to clean house, it feels like. Genos, one of the first victims, as Spunky did fall on the other side, but Phoenix going unchecked on the back.
Okay, Bird getting a little bit of a 1v1 here, and Ying actually, with Focusing Lens especially, can be very tricky to take down in a 1v1, and that Phoenix is going to go down. Bird stays alive and keeps this offense alive.
Still going. Sheepa inching the payload ever closer, but NIP have a lot of ultimates here. Don't know if they want to expend them. Navi likely don't want to expend theirs either. Both playing it kind of slow, but it's really favoring NIP at this point. Very, very close to the payload being captured, but Sheepa's falling very low. Now Bird's got to take over on the push power, and Perdo will try and make up for it. None of those three will make it happen. Navi with another successful defense.
They do force the Enlightenment out at the very last second, which is something there. I don't know if Phoenix needs to pop that there. Nice 2-for-1 shots, 2 in a row. Cleans up 2 kills at the exact same time for Creatives. That is a very rare occurrence. I think I've seen that happen maybe less than 10 times.
Wow. I thought that was just going to happen all the time.
No, I mean, it's a, you know, Eevee is a blaster, yes, but if you're not direct impacting your shots, you might as well not play her.
Sure. I was really nervous for a second. I saw that flicker card, and we're a little bit away from the screen right now, and I was like, wow, that is quite the card. It's a legendary, I suppose, but that's quite the name.
It's pretty sweet,
with
man.
that portrait too. I don't know about all that. 3-4 now. Navi in the lead. A lot of ultimates
Shout
on
out to
both
the card
sides.
art, man. I mean, it's really great.
It really is, though. Not kidding. That has been a fun thing. Not familiar with all the card art, but I'm enjoying it. Dread Serpent comes out, and it does convert the kill onto Bonker. And on the backside, Creative just waits for the kills there. Lazy is going to grab one for himself, and Navi with huge control now. Inara's here, but again, she just kind of does this, exists better than anybody else.
And it almost looks like that play that Creatives was able to pull off was in. He gets to the back line there, gets critical picks, and it's just like it's textbook. You know, he knows what's coming a mile away. He's 3 steps ahead. He's got all the cooldowns ready to go. He's perfectly calm, hitting all of his shots as well. Absolutely textbook execution on that last play.
NIP is cup stacking, and Creatives is playing 4D chess, is what you're telling me. 75% for Navi on this point, as they are running low on ultimates and running low on members as well. They just lost 3 very quickly, make that 4. Only Spunky left standing, and
that's awkward.
NIP mitigate that very quickly. And with that comeback mechanic, this should be a cap, right?
That's very strange to me. Normally the zone is so, like, it's so far out away from the point. You just put someone who's low risk, right? You know, hit scan shotguns, only hitting for 50 damage. Doesn't matter. Your goal is to knock them off their horses so they can't make it back to this objective. With how dominant Navi were in that first fight, the way that they just handled NIP, that's the type of zoning you would have expected, but it just doesn't happen. And that allows NIP a chance, and they seize it.
And Navi has some good characters at zoning like that, right?
Yeah,
Cassie, Leon, like those are ones that can make it happen pretty quickly. It doesn't happen, and now Navi is on the defensive once more. Mudu falls to Perdo, but Sheepa putting in some pretty solid damage onto these backliners, and then they realize it's only Inara, so Sheepa's fun ends pretty quickly. 2 on the respawn right now for Navi. A little bit of a push coming here. 145 left and about halfway there for NIP.
Peridot's Buck, he's just got a lot of weight to shoulder in this matchup. Let's just call it like it is. The Genos heal is going to give him the bonus damage at all times possible. It's been a significant portion of downtime, though. I think Peridot's done wonders even on his own with just the base kit of Buck. It's a very famous player-champion combination that goes way, way back, and he's starting to show us why.
Lots of ultimates on the come up now for Ninjas and Pyjamas. If they play this right, they could honestly have all of their ultimates except for Inara, maybe even hers, ready for this push. They might try and convert them here. Navi gonna need to use that Dread Serpent potentially on the defense. Ice Storm as well are up. So those are really good defensive ultimates, but it feels bad to have to use them in this spot because then NIP would just have the advantage.
There's the gas pedal hit. Illusory Rift popped by Ying. Just to keep everyone alive. Bird just doesn't want this push to fall apart, but it's starting to look like it might.
It already is. Creatives gets the kill on a Subsilu. Perdo is next, and through time and space, just has not connected.
Oh!
Yet Inara makes the play. See you later. And now Sheepa
She's like, how does it feel?
polite thing.
Not nice to be getting staggered all the time, is it?
30 seconds left, and feels like NIP has lost all the wind out of their sails for the moment.
You gotta love that, though. I mean, that actually, it's not the first time that's happened when people are just like breathing down Inara's neck, trying to get the last hit when she jumps off the map, inevitably to stop the stagger, but then just the turnaround outplay with the wall knockback to send somebody else off the map. It's always inconsequential because it's a staggered situation anyway, but it's hilarious to watch.
NIP do get back in time and could force overtime here. Very, very low creatives force one of the backliners back, but Mudu's already done the work onto Perdo. Phoenix will find the Bomb King. Genos next, and NIP looks like they're going to have to earn this one on the point itself. A triple for Phoenix. Navi looked like they were in control on the last capture point. They're going to need to do a little bit better on the zone this time around if they want to find this game too.
It's a big ultimate spent, though. The King Bomb against Navi would have been great for some lockdown on the objective, especially for this barrack. It's one of the best ways to counterplay a dome shield. You roll right under it and explode, almost killing the barrack outright. One quick follow-up in hand should do the trick, and then the dome shield drops around at 20,000 HP. Doesn't matter a thing. 3 people breaking the 100K barrier. They're all for Navi, and that's frankly a little bit to be expected. They just have the better range, the better poke, and 3 DPS composition at the end of the day.
Not a lot of cauterizes, though, on the side of Navi, even with the double healer. In fact, only one I see for creatives. Now, Leon
Yeah.
does have that anti-heal as part of her kit, but still feels a little bit surprising.
Cassie's got it in the loadout as well. There's when she hits the blast shot, it applies 75% anti-heal to anyone that it connects with, which tends to be enough. You know, it's always nice, especially with how popular Rejuvenate is. The more, the better.
Right.
But it tends to be enough.
Sheepa coming around this left side, has that stun available, but doesn't get a whole lot of value out of it. But Phoenix does, out of his Enlightenment, got the reset there up to 50% already and more on that charge time. Spunky knocks Bunker right out of the sky, and Navi again with point control. The 5 ultimates they had going into that fight pay dividends, but now they have to do that zone again and going to try and do a better job than they did last time.
Yeah, Lazy's already out here. Creative's holding down a choke point as well, but they don't want to lose Lazy here, and that's the key. They still have Ice Storm to work with. Illusory Rift popped just so NIP can just brazenly cross in the open. 500 health per second when there's no cauterize applied. Gets Bird to the objective safely enough. He's going to touch. He will start the overtime.
Overtime ticking down. Navi in the spot to bring this game home and go up 2-0. Mudu and Perdo each get a kill, but Mudu will make his a double. Now Sheepa on the point doing what he can, trying to stay alive. The focus switches to Perdo and the other damage dealers as Mudu looking to roll around this Bomb King and will do just that. Too hard to lock down. He'll find Sheepa before Perdo finally brings him down, but overtime is getting there. But NIP able to wrest control in their favor.
Crazy stuff there. Now there's pretty decent self-sustain there between Buck. Bomb King is frankly okay at it as well. He's just got a lot of HP, a little bit of in-hand heal every time he detonates one. Is this actually NIP? Bringing this one back. Navi are coming roaring, and Lazy's allowed to get on his horse back to the objective to start the overtime.
Man, Perdo doing what he can. He's going to go on the 1v1 with Phoenix, but Sheepa's just trying to keep everyone from Navi away and on that point, but it's Navi who's getting control. Simsilu will fall. Mudu on the point, and that should do it.
Wow.
Nadas Vincere takes the 2-0 lead in the series.
And there's really no zoning there from NIP, but it's not their fault. It was such a close call to begin with. They don't have the resources to throw out and try and slow that down. That allows Lazy. He walks all the way to the point on his horse, doesn't have to use his mobility skill, so he can use it completely for self-mitigation. Perdo hit a buck wild there in that little 1v1 against Phoenix, but didn't push it at all. He was full HP.
Backed up right away,
Phoenix,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Phoenix had no enlightenment. At 30%, you have to kind of know, all right, that's pretty recently used. I think Perdo there, a little bit of hesitation with the buck wild. That could have been the turnaround.
Ninjas in Pyjamas now down 2-0 up against Navi. Let's throw it to the desk because they can tell you what NIP needs to do to try and find a victory here in this set.
Well, it's tough because NIP has brought it to a 4-3 every single game of the set so far, but in the end, just crumbling a little too much.
And in that last point fight right there, the biggest thing that really played against them was the fact that Navi got so much early on. It was just a lot of control. The good fights from Navi really held NIP kind of in this hostage area where it's just like, all right, you can win a fight, but you have to win the next one and the next one. Like, you can't stop winning these engagements. It can't trade back and forth. You have to be on top of it, or else we'll just stand on here for 1 second and we have the point.
And we had moments like Ice Storm into the King Bomb and such from creatives, and then Mutu during that game, though, also. We've seen him bringing out these types of picks more and more, showing that there's a reason there's a ridiculous number of reports of cheating on his account. Of course, it's not true. He's just that freaking good.
And it was moments like this one, not only from him, but from creatives and Phoenix as well. Throughout the entire game, there would be points where it's like, all right, NIP are handedly in control. They are actually taking this fight and winning it. Potential for them to win game moments. And then it's, okay, well, here's Mutu with a triple kill, or here's Phoenix with a triple kill, here's Mutu with a double kill, here's Creatives with a double kill. Like, no matter what, someone on the team was getting that just burst they needed.
I feel like Mutu in these situations, he's just like, I got this. And then just zones in and figures out, he's like, all right, this is my time. But what did you think of the Ying pick and how that played out in this situation?
It did a lot better than I thought it was going to do. But that's mainly because I set my expectations at bare minimum whenever I see Ying, because it's just one of those things that it's like, you never know how the player's going to play it. And again, we're talking about NIP, so a lot of people played the game for a long time, and when you go back long enough, eventually there's a point where Ying must have been good enough, right? Something that you could pull in at least a little bit. Bird made her look good, but the problem is like, Bird had to be one of the ones, maybe Spunky could pull it out. You have to have one of these top tier supports to make her look that way, and even then, in making Ying look good is still kind of like the mediocre for like a Moldamba.
Well, Navi is currently up 2-0 within the set, and we're going over to map number 3, where, who knows, NIP, if they manage to push it in that same way, they could turn it around. But I think Navi, they're just such a, aside from when going against Fnatic, when they are under pressure a lot in these situations during this portion of the split, they've been able to kick it into high gear, that's for sure.
I mean, this is where a little bit of the longevity of the set comes into it. I mean, you've had 2 long games, 4 threes that were some of the longest setups the way you could only have it, so it lasted as long as a Paladins game could. Maybe not the longest we've seen, I want to say, in the history of competitive play, but definitely being able to get up there. So you're looking at this point where it's like, how well can you perform after 40 minutes of gameplay? How well are you going to be able to come and do it? Of course, the Navi, with their first set, have been going a little bit longer, but they're used to that. They're going Game 7s with Fnatic all the time. They're going Game 7s on LAN where it's really stressful. NIP, at this point, you have to question how fresh are you still feeling?
Both of those games on the upward side of time compared to others, 20-plus minutes, that's crazy. But NIP, Terminus and Inara, locking them both in first. Why do you think that they're focused so much on that actual just combination?
A lot of control on this map when it comes down to it. I mean, you get Terminus, and because of the way Jaguar Falls is laid out, you have a square, everyone has to fight you in that square. That's perfect for Terminus. His axe is going to connect most of these engagements. There's still a couple of long line of sights areas where he's going to have a lot more difficulty, but in the side rooms as well as on the point, he has a lot of control. And then Inara enables him to have that kind of thing. You also take it away from the other side, so they have to kind of dig a little deeper into their pockets to get someone else.
And because the Drogus is locked in, I'm assuming that Mutu, he's been the one that they've been putting on that lately, and Cassie, kind of one of those picks that anyone who's on DPS on that side of the team can lock into. But on NIP, you have Pip, so that burst healing potential onto Terminus and Inara if they are trying to just collapse upon the point as much as possible. But not Ying this time, it is going to be a Bomb King.
Honestly, it feels weird saying this, but if they were going to try another Ying, this would be another map I think I wouldn't mind seeing it. Like, just enough places that she could place her little decoys or illusions to make sure the healing comes through, but Bomb King handedly, like head over heels, better on this map than Ying.
Lives Jaguar Falls. It's his home. But this may be the be-all, end-all for Navi if they manage to close it out against NIP, so let's find out.
Thank you very much, guys. Yeah, I mean, the double front line right off the bat, straight into the Pip. A little bit of a different flavor, it feels like, from NIP, trying to maybe throw Navi for a loop. It hasn't worked yet.
It's 2 prongs with the Pip. You know, you can have incredible moments of greatness with the healing, with the Mega Potion, synergizing with the Narwhal, and even Terminus, and just Rejuvenate in general scales so heavily percentage-based with a 2,400 base to scale off of is incredible. However, the things I'm worried about is, yes, there's no Evil Mojo for Navi, so that's the other prong of why NIP, I think, go for this Pip. But you have things like Guillotine Zin that can get the job done, immediately slaying out one of these front lines. You have a Dragon Punch on the side of Not As Sincere. Even if you don't want to go Guillotine Zin, you can just go Spite and use the Spite in a controlled enough environment to where you're literally just using it for the crowd control to guarantee it through time and space. That's another huge chunk of damage you can guarantee onto these front lines. So I still feel like, though the Pip is taken away, there is ways for Navi to slay these tanks out easily.
And that's going to be critical here. I mean, Simsulu on this Bomb King, I think, is going to be shouldering the brunt of the damage load alongside Perdo on the Buck. Perdo played this Buck on the last map and looked pretty good doing it, but it just felt like that NIP was lacking a little bit too much damage in the last one.
He doesn't have Genos this time either. It's going to certainly put a lid on what he's able to do, but it's a quick first blood. Phoenix caught out extremely early, and with these 2-point frontliners, NIP could, don't get me wrong, could put this game away 4-0 with this just absolute steamroller of a composition, but it has to come quickly.
Lazy now, the only one left pretty close to the point whatsoever, and Sheepa will take care of that, forces him back. Creatives gets a very important kill. Honest Silo looks like on the right-hand side of the capture point, but already NIP's up to 90% on the capture point before they lose control, but they lose control pretty heavily, losing a lot of members. Phoenix is going to make sure that continues as now Navi get their chance to set their flag in the ground.
One after another as well. Sheep are respawning right now. Then Bird coming through. So before NIP are even 10 toes on the ground again, it's already almost tied back up. That entire lead that they worked so hard to gain has been completely mitigated. However, it is 90% to 90%. At this point, whoever makes the first mistake is probably losing the first objective.
Getting close, but NIP actually going to force overtime now as they got back on the point that Inara. Mudu will fall, but Phoenix and himself already got a kill. Creative's going to knock another one down, make that 2 for him on the Jhin. And it feels like once the first member of NIP falls, the rest do very, very quickly. This damage from Navi's composition is just insane. Between the Jhin, the Drogos, the Cassie, plus Luminary.
And when you talk about this composition, and even Barrack scaling very well with Tinkerin to actually do some decent damage to these other front lines, we talked about just how Navi were going to deal with this very bulky front line that NIP have gone all in. When that's your first 2 picks, when that's your highest priority stuff, that's what you're hoping is winning you the game, right? It's not this 5th, 4th pick coming through to round the composition out. You've already given Navi everything they want in their backline, and so yes, I'm saying Navi have ways to deal with these front lines, on top of the fact that outside of all of that in a vacuum, these are power picks for these Navi players against any composition on this map.
Going to be difficult for Ninjas in Pyjamas to make that work in the face of the damage coming from Navi, but they're going to give it a shot for sure. They need it. So they're down 2-0 right now in the set. Over a minute 30, right around a minute 30 left, I should say, and already over halfway there on the capture point. Creatives is in some trouble, but Billow's a pretty good ability, and it'll get him out of some danger for the moment. Lazy has knocked down the Bomb King, and Perdo looks very, very low, but a huge heal there coming out of the Buck will save his life. Phoenix wishes he had that in his kit, as Perdo will make him pay. As now Creatives in a lot of trouble, locked in the cage with Perdo. Still standing for the moment, but you can see Navi on their way back.
Creatives dives even deeper just to get some damage in, I guess, before he ends up going down. Inevitably, huge heal there, 2,300 for Sheepa. That's as a result, of course, of the Mega Potion. NIP's healer Bird it's very all or nothing though, right? If you mess that up, if you throw that in there when there's a 90% cauterize implied, then you have no effective healing to work with in that fight. So it can be very hit or miss. I have full confidence in Bird though. He's been doing the support thing just about longer than anyone in the business.
Creative's already on COT 2 though after dying and spending his credits, so something to keep an eye on. Those 1v1s up against Perdo might go a little bit easier in his direction. Good damage onto the Bomb King, and Phoenix will finish what Mudu started. It's now Ninjas in Pyjamas in a 4v5 situation. Creatives again lurking and going to use that ultimate onto Perdo, but can't quite find the kill. Wow. Perdo going to heal up, and now Jin's dead to rights. Perdo wins that 1v1 without having to expend his ultimate. Buck Wild still available for when he needs it, and I don't know right now is when he needs it, though Mudu may make him reconsider until Sincilo puts him down. Overtime ticking down, and Ninjas in Pyjamas with the successful defense.
It's an incredible job from Perdo there, just circumventing so many things, eating the spite, staying alive. People are diving on him, trying to confirm the kill. He's moving around the fight, just not even doing damage at that point, literally just trying to survive and force people to continue to look at him. A very explosive composition, though, like you mentioned, from Navi. Small little changes up here, though. Muto, I believe, swapped to Combustible at the last second instead of Fusillade, which has been far and away the most popular talent for Drogos since the rocket speed buff comes through. This allows him to just be a little bit more safe. Most of his damage is going to be tied up in that Fire Spit now, which can be launched safely from around corners, from a safe distance, so on and so forth, out of range of Perdo and Simsilo.
You know, lets him, I mean, the tanks aren't going anywhere, right? You know where they're going to be, right on the point. So Fire Spit will be able to find a home usually fairly easily, as Creatives and Perdo seem to be going for this duel more often than not. Perdo certainly got the better end of Creatives last time around and would look to do the same here, but it looks like Creatives on the offensive first. He'll force Perdo back. The rest of NIP is not being forced back, though. They're on the point, 24% for the red squad, but now it's starting to go back in Navi's favor. Perdo does find Lazy, who's actually top damage after that round on the Barrack, and now this double front line can start to exert its weight. Yeah, he was.
Oh, Jesus.
Barrack, baby.
My case is getting worse and worse. It's basically solo lane free damage, though.
No.
I think.
I don't think.
He's just beating up Bonker the entire round with Luminary.
I don't know. I think Barrack's kind of a beast. I don't know what to tell you. Creatives does find Perdo that time around, and Sheepa gets knocked down very quickly by Phoenix. 72% though for Ninjas in Pyjamas, and 1-1 means no comeback mechanic really being a huge factor right now, but already NIP's losing their grasp on this point. It looks like Navi has someone everywhere to cut off every entrance until Sheepa is going to push back Phoenix.
The seismic crash comes through, it hits, Evil Mojo comes through, it hits aggro, but nothing's getting kills for Ninjas in Pyjamas. None of these ultimates are reaping any benefit. Navi just back up, they completely absorb the blow from NIP, and they turn all the momentum right back around on him, and just like that, it's an easy capture, an easy fight victory for Navi, shrugging off 4 different ultimates at the cost of literally none.
Man, that really hurts NIP here. The good news for them is that Navi's not in a spot where they can necessarily will use all of their ultimates to convert this capture point. A lot of times we'll see teams hold on to ultimates in this sort of position when it's not match point, but Navi really could only use 1 or 2, still get the capture point in, and still have things left over for the next capture point.
2 minutes on the clock to do so here. Just trying to break this corner. A little bit of that hurry up and wait that we kind of see on most maps here. You don't want to overextend, pushing past the choke point if you're on either side of the coin in this situation. Creative's doing a great job. Throws his first 2 light hits into the wall a couple of times there. That's just to get that final Yomi strike charged up. That's the one that he wants to yeet around the corner and hopefully find a backliner with.
Mudu with a nice fire spit there, and that'll set up Creatives to go into the back. That time the ultimate cut down Perdo. Phoenix knocked down Sheepa at the same time, as Creatives going to force NIP back all the way into their base. Spunky has through time and space here, and you got to be worried about grouping up if you're Ninjas in Pyjamas, because if you get hit even 1 or 2 members by that ultimate, it'll likely be a conversion for Navi.
1:15 on the clock here. Mutu just doing his thing, launching fire spits from the safety of the backline. Phoenix finds another pick onto Sheepa. No reanimate available. That's a zoning time and space to keep everyone off the objective so Navi can smash it straight through.
And they do just that, now up 3-1, just 1 point away from returning the clean sweep favor that Fnatic delivered to them earlier on tonight.
Those are good shots.
Lazy, look at Barrick. What character could have done that but Barrick, Nicholas?
You know,
none of them.
I had a problem with Architect Tom. Oh, God, Lord, Jesus.
No.
That's not... I mean, you did your job, I guess, brother man Barrick, but staying at the top of the charts. Those are great shots. I don't have a problem with Tinkerin. My hatred for Barrick spawned from the turret legendary that just made them hit scan and do more damage, and your job was literally just to throw them down and run around like an idiot while they did all the work, and I was like, this is so dumb. This is just not a character that should be viable at the PPL level of play. But Lazy, with Luminary, with the Tinkerin, you hit your shots, brother man, you do your thing. Also translate very well into Realm Royale as well. The Slug Rifle, a very good weapon at the moment.
Download it free on Steam right now. The point controlled by NIP, up to 24% or so. Dome Shield does come down, and Mudu's Dragon Punch doesn't get a whole lot of value, but it does scare away NIP. Seems to be a lot of that so far from Navi in this set. Fire Spit does a ton of work, and that'll bring down Sheepa from all the way around the corner. Creatives nearly has that Spite available, and he's going to keep the fight going deeper in NIP side of the map. It's already looking bad for the Ninjas in the Pyjamas. 70% plus for Navi as they're getting closer to closing out this set.
Lazy does go down, Bird finds... That's like the second Evil Mojo of the game.
Yeah, haven't been a lot.
Not a very impactful ultimate this time around, and normally you want a lot out of it. Terminus.
Okay. All right.
You know, the problem, I get it. I know you love your Shatterfall kills, but the problem with it is it's so cinematic. It's so theatrical that sometimes it will, the game will be over by the time he's done, being a monster up in the air and coming back down.
Yeah, but at the same time, sometimes you end the game with the cinematic
but at the same
moment.
time, yeet.
But at the same time, yeet. I don't know what else to say here. I don't have to know a lot about Paladins to give you that sort of analysis. That's why we have the desk to give you the good analysis. Navi win 3-0.
Yeah, I like that analysis. Just yeet. Good way of topping it off.
That's what Navi did that game.
Yeah, very different than the previous 2 games that went pretty much as long as possible, that it felt like, but then here on Jaguar Fall seemed to find that extra edge.
And I feel like Frozen Guard, admittedly, for a 4-3, that's a map that I would say that's a little par for the course. 4-2s, 4-3s are a little bit more in common there. Stone Keep, not so much. Jaguar Falls was also right on course for where things were going. Navi having a rough time against Fnatic here earlier, we're able to showcase that, we know Jag Falls just fine. We just have to be able to make it work for us.
remember guys, we're the Paladins World Champions, and we won the Masters LAN. Don't forget that, and they proved it here, even with the changes, of course, adding Lazy onto their roster. But as you can see, the fact that no one really knew what they were going to do for a while, right? Because you're like, this is the role he plays, and then was this role. Is he just going to go with his typical picks? What kind of adjustments are they going to make? And then he's just stepped so solidly into this frontline role where a lot of that knowledge and that veteranship of being in the scene so long has allowed them to elevate to that next level. And we'll see where they actually stand. And they're kind of on that elevated aspect of it. Of course, Fnatic up there with their lossless season so far with the split, and G2 on the opposite end as well, doing the same.
Europe has such beautiful standings with the way it is, because it's 5-0, 3-2, 2-2, 2-3, 0-5. It's a mirror of itself. And I don't think you could get that anywhere else. That's true. Nice little bookend there. We have our doubleheader of Envy tomorrow between G2 and SK against them. Now, G2 and Envy, that's something that the same way that we've been looking at Fnatic versus Navi, we've been looking at G2 versus Envy. Not as long as in Europe, but they've really cemented themselves as one of those matches that you always want to watch. And it's one I think everyone's kind of excited for, at least here, just because looking at it, this is the time they're going with Rock Monkey into it. The first matchup they had in week 1, there was no Rock Monkey. There was no way to kind of solidify, is this the Envy that we're really expecting for the split, or are we looking at something just completely different because they're lacking such a strong presence?
So it's the rematch, everybody. But, of course, in November 16th through 18th, we do have HRX in the partnership with DreamHack. I'm so excited to actually get to go and check everything out here. Remember, you can do so as well by going to highresexpo.com. We have our Paladins World Championship, Console Wars, and then our Smite content with their World Championship and console events as well. So it should be a really cool venue. I know I'm stoked for it. I'm sure everyone's starting to gear up, and it kind of comes at you sooner than you expect, so that's why I suggest getting your tickets now before it's too late.
Yeah, you want to jump on it, and plus there's going to be a lot of stuff there, because not only do we have like the events that are actually happening there, but we have a little bit going in before the prelims, kind of leading into the World Championships as well. So it's going to be really interesting and a fun, I want to say, week, really. Maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, depending on how long things go.
Yeah, how much is that just...
How much content can we publish?
Who knows? There's only one way to find out, everybody, but that's going to do it for here today. Remember, we do have more PPL action tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern, as well as PGS earlier on the day. Keep it locked on twitter.com/PaladinsPro for all of the information you need. My name is LaTigress. This was Gore Miser. Stay cool, friends.